Ted Cruz has launched his long game, politically speaking. He sent a representative to Guam. He's a political operative. His name's Dennis Lennox. He sent Mr. Lennox 8,000 miles from Washington to the tiny little territory of Guam for very specific reasons here. Now, Guam has 9 delegates, and these 9 delegates could become really critical. The RNC, he's thinking in the long game, the Republican National Convention in Cleveland next year. Guam could be a central player because any of the candidates, they need 8 states to qualify to get that nomination, and Guam counts technically as a territory/state, which would be included if it came down to that. He wants to make sure that he has those 9 delegates in his pocket, and he's one of the first that we're reporting on that we've known that's done this. We know that Jeb Bush was courting their delegate. He hasn't sent any official political operative to Guam yet to do this. Also Scott Walker, but you know, just the long game strategy of this man, it's just unbelievable. He clearly would take it to a floor fight if it came down to that in the RNC. You know, if he needed these 9 delegates or if it got really close, he wants to make sure that he has them in his back pocket just in case.
I think for a candidate like Ted Cruz, this is critical because the only chance that they have to actually get the nomination is if they actually take it to a floor fight.
Mitt Romney
did
Guam,
it too.
though. I mean, he didn't take it to a floor fight, but he recognized it.
In the case of Jeb Bush and Scott Walker, they might have
he's too big, he doesn't need it?
I think it's more of a defensive move. Let's take it out of the table for any other candidate to grab. Right. So I think they protectively, Jeb Bush says, I want Guam, because for me, Guam is not as a important token. But for other candidates, that might be the difference from him being able to qualify for the Republican National Convention voting or not. I think that's critical, and that's why we've seen that approach for a little tiny island 8,000 miles away from continental U.S.
Unbelievable. To Guam, which is 1/3 the size of Rhode Island. Now, we need to point out, Mr. Lennox, this was the official reason given for his visit, to organize in advance the island's GOP caucuses. Oh, really? And also,
6.
Yeah, right.
6 members.
I'm sorry, or 9 delegates there, on the table up for grabs. So we need to make sure that people understand how critical this is because, the RNC, capturing these nominations, this is how somebody becomes president of the United States. He's doing the legwork to do it, and he's doing it on the sly, in my opinion. This was featured in The Guardian, and, I can't believe that nobody else is doing it. Like, why wouldn't they all be sending it? Does Trump not think he needs Guam?
I think this shows the long-time politicians from the newcomers, where these guys, they know that there's many different ways to win a race, and it's not all going out with the media, saying what you think. These guys know the back works, but also something to take care, pay attention to is the trade of influence that a situation like this, where it's such a small caucus can actually become so influential, and what that entails for the regulation of how they are going to convince these delegates to vote for someone. It's
not unusual for presidential candidates to deploy staffers across the country, especially prior to an election year, because they want to stir up those voters. But to send a political operative for the sole purpose of reaching delegates, that's another. That's taking it to a new level. Anyway, we'd love to know what you think about this story, about the RNC coming up, about Ted Cruz's strategy, his long game going on. Is it going to come down to Guam? Could that happen? Log on, post those comments below while you're at it. Be sure to check out the rest of our channel and, of course, subscribe to the Lib TV 2 for more.